Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. On this channel we post writing tips, unboxings, book hauls, book reviews and the occasional vlog. It is Halloween! I love Halloween. I love autumn or fall if you're in America. One of my favourite seasons. I love just seeing the leaves change in colour. The same as spring is one of my favourite. I love spring and autumn. I love the change in seasons, not the static. Changing. Love it. But as it is October and the month of spookiness, I'm doing a Halloween book tag. I took this book tag from Becca Frowell's channel. If you haven't seen that, I'll pop a link below. She did take it from another book channel which doesn't seem to exist anymore, but I'll put a link to the video I watched to do this book tag, and also I'll put the questions down below, so if you guys want to do this book tag for this Halloween, be my guest. I tag anyone who wants it. But let's dive right in. Before we get into this book tag, don't forget, if you like what you see, do subscribe to this channel. Your continued support means a lot, so thank you guys so much. Question 1. Pumpkin carving. What book would you carve up and light on fire? The Highest Tide by Jim Lynch. I read this book in 2020. You'll see it on my Goodreads, and I hate it. It was a book about surfers. I actually read 2 books about surfers in 2020, and I hated both of them. So I'm a surfer, my partner's a surfer, we love surfing, but oh my god, were these books sexist. It was ridiculous. I don't condone destroying or burning books, and I didn't destroy them. I gave them away to charity for this book tag for pumpkin carving. If there was any book that I would want to chop up and light on fire, it'd be this one. That is The Highest Tide by Jim Lynch. The second surf book that I read was Tapping the Source by Ken Nunn. Same problem, guys. Same problem. Number 2. Trick or treat. What character is a treat and what character is a trick? Now for this, I said Granny Weatherwax and Nanny Ogg. We're going to use them in the example of Lords and Ladies by Terry Pratchett. You guys know, if you're not new to this channel, that I am a massive Terry Pratchett fan, and I absolutely love The Witches. For the time period that they are written, these are the first normal female characters that I read, and I adored them. But 2 of the main witches are Granny Weatherwax and Nanny Ogg. The reason I've chosen them for trick or treat is because they are the opposite way round to what you think. When you first read Terry Pratchett, Granny Weatherwax is the controlled head witch. No one likes her. Nanny Ogg is the super cuddly, knows everyone witch that you kind of want to be friends with. Wrong-o. Granny Weatherwax is trying to help you. Everything she ever does is to help you. She really wants you to be happy, and God, does she suffer for it. Nanny Ogg, you will serve her. She don't care what you're up to. She has so many children. All of her children's partners cook her food. They clean her house. She don't want to help you unless she has to. She's going to help you if she gets something from it. Beyond that, she's all about her own self having a good time. That's it. That's why Nanny Ogg got so many children. She had a great time. They are trick or treat. Because Granny Weatherwax and Nanny Ogg, they are just the opposite. You think Nanny Ogg's going to be a treat, but she's the trick. And you think Granny Weatherwax is a trick, she's the treat. You want Granny Weatherwax to be on your side. Nanny Ogg gonna use you. I love them both. They're just perfect. And they are such a great pair when they're together. Just fantastic. But trick or treat. Pratchett did it with those 2. If you guys haven't read Lords and Ladies, I'll read you guys the blurb now. The fairies are back, but this time they don't just want your teeth. Granny Weatherwax and her tiny coven are up against real elves. It's midsummer night, no time for dreaming. With full supporting cast of dwarfs, wizards, trolls, Morris dancers and 1 orangutan, and lots of hey nonny nonny and blood all over the place. If you haven't seen my book review on Lords and Ladies, that link is above me now. Number 3. Candy corn. What book is always sweet? If you're not new to my book channel, you knew it was coming. The Guest Cat by Takashi Hirade. It's always sweet. It's tiny. It's beautiful. And I've read it twice and I will read it again. If you haven't read this book, I'll read you guys the blurb now. A couple in their 30s live in a small rented cottage in a quiet part of Tokyo. They work at home as freelance writers. They no longer have very much to say to one another. One day a cat invites itself into their small kitchen. She is a beautiful creature. She leaves, but the next day comes again, and then again and again. New, small joys accompany the cat. The days have more light and colour. Life suddenly seems to have more promise for the husband and wife. They go walking together, talk and share stories of the cat and its little ways, play in the nearby garden. But then something happens that will change everything again. The Guest Cat is an exceptionally moving and beautiful novel about the nature of life and the way it feels to live it. The book won Japan's Kiyama Shohei Literary Award and was a bestseller in France and America. If you guys haven't seen my book review on The Guest Cat by Takashi Harada, it is in my Cat Mad book review. I'll put a link above now. It's just such a sweet read, guys. It really is. So that is my candy corn. It's The Guest Cat. Number 4. Ghosts. What character would you love to visit as a ghost? It's been a while, but we are going back to Game of Thrones because I would come back to speak with Tyrion Lannister. Why, do you ask? Why wouldn't you want to talk to Tyrion Lannister? Tyrion Lannister is amazing. This series has not ended. Tyrion Lannister might die, might be alive, I don't know, but it's me visiting as a ghost. I want to go see Tyrion. I think it'll be a pretty damn good time, and I actually think he'd react quite well to a ghost. I think he'd be shocked at first, but I think he'd get used to it. For anyone who hasn't read George R.R. Martin Game of Thrones, I mean, I'm guessing there's no one left out there who reads fantasy who hasn't read this book, but just in case, I'll read you guys the blurb. A Song of Ice and Fire. Summers span decades, winter can last a lifetime, and the struggle for the Iron Throne has begun. As Warden of the North, Lord Eddard Stark counts it a curse when King Robert bestows on him the office of the Hand. His honour weighs him down a court where a true man does what he will, not what he must, and a dead enemy is a thing of beauty. The old gods have no power in the south. Stark's family is split and there is treachery at court. Worse, the vengeance-mad heir of the disposed Dragon King has grown to maturity in exile in the free cities. He claims the Iron Throne. I mean, we know it was a great book. The first book of a Game of Thrones series was so good, and the TV series, the first season, was so good. We're not going to discuss the TV series. I think we've all got opinions on that. Number 5. Dressing up in costume. What character would you want to be for a day? For this, I actually have the 2 books this character appears in, because that is Daughter of the Moon Goddess and Heart of the Sun Warrior by Su Lin Tan. This has come up in my book tags previous. You all know why I want to be this character for a day. I want to eat the food that she eats. I want to wear all those gorgeous clothes that she wears. And I want to hang around those beautiful, beautiful palaces. I mean, Jingying has a really crap time in these books, but some of the time was lovely. I'll just pick my day and make sure it's on one of those lovely days, not a nasty day. But I'll read you guys the blurb of Daughter of the Moon Goddess if you haven't read this yet. There are many legends about my mother. Raised on the moon, Jingying was unaware she was being hidden from the Celestial Emperor, who exiled her mother for stealing the elixir of immortality. But when her magic flares and Jingying's existence is discovered, she is forced to flee her home, leaving her mother behind. Alone, powerless and afraid, Jingying makes her way to the Celestial Kingdom, a land of wonder and secrets. In disguise, she trains alongside the Emperor's son, mastering archery and magic, despite the passion which flames between them. To rescue her mother, Jingying embarks on a quest, confronting legendary creatures and vicious enemies. But when forbidden magic threatens the kingdom, Jingying must challenge the ruthless emperor, leaving her torn between losing all she loves or plunging the realm into chaos. I do have a review on Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan, and I also have a review of Heart of the Sun Warrior, which is the second book of this duology. I won't read you guys the blurb in case you haven't read the first one. They're good. And finally, question 6. Blood and Gore. What book was so creepy that you had to take a break from it? Now, this was actually quite a hard question for me. I don't generally get creeped out by books, because it's a book. I know it's a book. I can put it down. If it's needless violence, I absolutely hate it. But to be honest, I don't tend to read books with needless violence. It's normally got violent for a reason. So this was a really hard question for me. So I actually chose 2 books. Now, One is actually my favourite horror book, so I wanted to share that with you guys because it is my favourite and I couldn't put it down. The second is a book that I found personally horrible. Not as horrible as The Highest Tide or Tap in the Source, like I said for question 1, which is a book I'd like to rip up and burn. But I found it hard to read. I didn't put it down, I've read the whole thing, but I found it hard. So first of all, I'm going to share with you guys my favourite horror story, which is The Ghosts of Sleeth by James Herbert. James Herbert is a fantastic horror writer and I absolutely love this. This was my first James Herbert read, I believe, but it really stuck with me more than his other books. So I'll read you guys the blurb of this one. Can a ghost haunt a ghost? Can the dead reach out and touch the living? Can ancient evil be made magnificent? These are the questions that confront psychic investor David Ash when he delves into the mysterious events terrorising the community of Sleeth, a small, quaint village hidden away in the Chiltern Hills. In Sleeth, he will fear for his own sanity as each dark secret is unveiled and terrible, malign forces are unleashed. For the full horror will be beyond imagination. Sleeth, where the dead will walk the streets. I just absolutely loved it. So this is a horror story that stayed with me. So I guess for Blood and Gore, it stayed in my head. So I enjoyed it. James Herbert Goes to Sleeth. A book that I struggled to read, Neil Gaiman's Sandman. I've read up to comic 5 of this. Now, these are the grouped ones. So I've read up to, let me think, what number? I've read up to number 5, A Game of You, of the groups of stories, which as they all have 4 to 5 in, I'm not sure which comic number I'm on, but I've read them, and certain ones I super liked and certain ones really disturbed me. I didn't put them down, I read them, I didn't take a break from them, I read all of them all in one go, because I'm mad. I had to read them before the TV series came out, alright, it had to happen. But it disturbed me. Now, it didn't disturb me in that I was scared. I wasn't scared. It's gory and bloody and that's fine. I'm not one of those people that minds that in books and TV series. It was the sexual harassment on women in it and the use of rape. I found it, like, concerning, you know? And I know Neil Gaiman's a fantastic writer and I know he's a really nice guy. It's the time period it was written in, I'm sure of it, and it made me uncomfortable to read. So I guess this is the one that Blood and Gore made me uncomfortable. It was due to the treatment of women in it. It didn't feel right. It just didn't feel right. And that is the Halloween book tag. So let's recap. 1. Pumpkin carving. What book would you carve up and light on fire? We know it is The Highest Tide and Tap in the Source. 2 surf books. No. Number 2, trick or treat. What character is the treat and what character is a trick? We went for Granny Weatherwax and Nanny Ogg in Terry Pratchett's Lords and Ladies. Candy Corn. What book is always sweet? The Guest Cat by Takeshi Hirade. 4, ghosts. What character would you visit as a ghost? Tyrion Lannister in George R.R.Martin's Game of Thrones. Number 5, dressing up in costume. What character would you want to be for a day? Xingying from Daughter of the Moon Goddess. More so Xingying in the second book, Heart of the Sun Warrior, because she's just so much more kick-ass. And then finally, number 6, Blood and Gore. What book was so creepy that you had to take a break from it? Not creepy. I didn't take a break, but it disturbed me. Neil Gaiman's Sandman. And then just because it's a horror book tag and you didn't ask me what my favourite was and I have to share this with you guys. The Ghosts of Sleeth by James Herbert is one of my favourite horror books. I adored it. And that's it for this book tag. And we've gone through these books. Oh, so many. Oh, just put them down. Oh. And that's it for my Halloween book tag. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. If you'd like to see as soon as I upload, click that little bell down below. You can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook and Tumblr. I post your bookish pictures as well as my writing tips and unboxings on there. If you would like to do this book tag, all the questions are below, as are the links to my book reviews on the various books that I've mentioned in this video if you're interested in any of those. I tag you guys. Go for it. Have fun. Enjoy Halloween. And I'll see you guys next time.